A little bit of history with this deck. This is kind of an offshoot of a few different ideas and conversations we've had on stream recently. So the big one being, you know, I, I don't even know where to start. Okay, so we've played against this kind of idea a couple times where they're like we've played against like 4-color Birthing Ritual shells that are trying to just cascade into Birthing Ritual off of Shardless Agent. And then you're going to chain that Shardless Agent up into stuff like Omnath and Subtlety and Solitude. Or no, sorry, Riddler and Solitude. And so when we talked about that shell, I think that there's something that's very interesting happening, right? Where it's the same formula as Cascade Beans. Like this 2 mana, this green 1 enchantment is so strong. It's really format defining. It's a lot stronger than other things on rate. More and more with Birthing Ritual being legal, it feels very silly that Birthing Pod is banned. Birthing Ritual is the better card. Another thing that's interesting to me about Birthing Ritual and kind of building the deck in this way is that multiple copies of Birthing Ritual are really nuts in a similar way that multiple copies of Beans are really nuts. Where you're able to like in this deck, if you cast Ritual on turn 2, then you age it into a Ritual, you can chain that into a 4, into a 5 on turn 3, which can be really crazy. And so the formula is there. Save mana cost of the enchantment, really powerful above rate 2-mana enchantment that works well with these Cascade creatures. Actually, I would say that this is kind of a newer part of the formula, right? Is that in the old Cascade Beans deck, your Cascade creatures didn't do all that much. Like, it was nice to have the bodies and you would, attack and block with them. But in this deck, you just get to turn the 2/2s into, Omnaths or, like, creatures to pod into 5s. Or the big thing, really, is, like, Bloodbraid Elf is going to either get you an Agent or Ritual is going to be able to turn into a 5. Although I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So when we've played against these builds on stream, I had 2 main critiques of the deck. The main critique was that while you seemed very good against creature decks, you seemed to be like kind of aimless against more linear strategies. Like Tron specifically, very, very popular lately, and kind of just a nightmare, to defeat for the builds that we were running into. And so I was, I was working on the deck and thinking about it. And like one big thing too that I kind of realized is that the builds just weren't playing Bloodbraid Elf. And Bloodbraid Elf is insane in this deck. Just the fact that it is 4 mana value is like just such a big upside because it's always going to find you a Birthing Ritual, or ideally, of course, an Agent into a Ritual. And then it is just very likely to turn into one of your 12 5-drops or at least an Omnath. And because Bloodbraid Elf is a 4, and you have just access to a good amount of 4s with Subtlety and Omnath, and also this deck is really good at getting multiple copies of Birthing Ritual into play, all of a sudden you have the ability to try to chain your stuff into Charmaws and just blow up a bunch of your opponent's lands. And I blew up 3 lands on my opponent's board the first match I played with this deck. But your ability to chain into Charmaw is like a really big part of what makes this deck work. It's a really big part of what makes this deck work. Now, I've been messing with the numbers a little bit. I had like Fire Ice over Subtlety, but I ended up feeling like Subtlety, just being a 4-mana creature, which let you just like turn your agents into 4s into 5s, that ended up being a pretty big deal. I think Subtlety is still pretty well positioned, although it wasn't as well positioned as it was maybe like a month or 2 ago. But the build has just been really, really dang good. Yeah, could call it Birthing Beans maybe. The sideboard's obviously weird, right, with the Cascade restrictions. Like, you can play cards that you can Cascade into. So, like, one big thing is the Belcher matchup is, like, maybe the most scary matchup of anything you could run into. And so I decided to play Collector Ouphe, so you could either Cascade into it, or if you Cascade into Ritual, you could try to Ritual into it. I also think the Reanimator builds have been very, very popular. It's possible you want to play even like the 4th Endurance, but I'm playing right now 3 Endurance and 1 Orvar for Archon of Cruelty. You do hit this off Bloodbraid Elf sometimes, and it could be a little awkward, but it could also just be pretty solid in those matchups. I've got 1 Elesh Norn for the Blinks matchups. Commandeer is a card that's mostly for Tron. I think it is kind of important that you cut some of like your Subtleties, Solitudes for some Commandeers and Force of Vigors against them. You might play 1 Collector Ouphe also against some of the builds. Maybe 2 Collector Ouphes against some of the builds. But I think these are pretty good against there. And you could also bring them in a couple other matchups. And then it's really nice that we have access to Rough Tumble as like a Pyroclasm type effect for Boros that doesn't mess with our Cascade stuff too much. So yeah, I guess that's it. Let's start jamming. It's been a very, very fun deck to work on and play. I'm glad to get to show it off. Was going to play a challenge today, but this deck was like a little bit too sweet, and I didn't quite get home from the gym in time. I think that's fair. I just really prioritize cheap interaction where we can have it. My opponent has kept 7 on the play, and they've revealed a Devourer of Destiny. Good thing I've got this Obsidian Charmaw in my hand, I guess. Although on the play, they could still get Tron online for a turn first. They have 2 Devourers. Exiles their Swamp. They have kept a card on top. Probably a land if they're dumping all of this action. There's an Eldrazi Temple, which you might be surprised to find is a land. I've got to stop on my upkeep here. Love your videos, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, we get to board in the Commandeers. Theirs is Urza's mine. So I'm probably going to go Elegant Parlor into Forest, play the Birthing Ritual into Charmal next turn. Put the Birthing Ritual in play. Maybe some argument for holding up Binding instead, but I think let's keep the land. I think it's almost always going to be better to play the Ritual this turn. So we don't want to see Ugin's Lab. We want to see a Tron land. Because if they go Ugin's Lab into Karn, could be a little bit annoying. What do you think is worse for the format, Eldrazi Temple or Ugin's Sanctum? Well, I'll tell you what. Eldrazi Temple is worse than Ugin's Sanctum. Ugin's Labyrinth, on the other hand, probably the better of the cards of the 3. Looks like we're getting our Seer's Thought Knotted. Let's go. Should be a fun game. Although we only have 2 Charmals left in the deck. We're going to Binding the Mind Stone over the Seer if they don't play a land. Definitely not blocking. I'm going to cast that. Guess we can go Omnath and cast the rest of our hand. So we have 14 looks at one of our last 2 Charmals. It's not quite favored to hit one. Still can smack them for 7 this turn, get some stuff into play. Let's go ahead and turn this agent into an elf. And then we do find another Charmaw. Your turn. Okay, so we're gonna bring in the Commandeers. We're gonna, I think, play some copies of Force of Vigor. Maybe one Collector Ouphe. Cascading into it's kind of weird. Subtlety is better against them than it used to be since they're playing Seer and Glaring Fleshraker in addition to Karn and even sometimes Sire. Probably still trim 1. Oh, the blue card count's also important. Have a couple outs to like their Karn targets. Yeah, this seems fine. Maybe on the draw I even want the 4th Subtlety over the 4th Omnath. Maybe even General. This Bloodbraid Elf might be a 4-mana Charmal. We can kind of hope that it is. My mana's a little bit weird this game. I don't have a pitchable for Subtlety. I would have to pitch the Elf to force. I can cast the Binding on turn 2 though. But what's weird about casting the Binding is I can't get either Surveil land to cast it. I have to get Stomping Ground probably. I think we're gonna keep this on the draw still. It just has a lot of draws that really complete, plus turn 2 Binding for early interaction, plus maybe a pitch card for interaction. Has anyone suggested defending Clarion in the side for Sam and Brood Scout? Well, I have Collector Ouphe instead, where like I think Sam combo is probably not a very scary matchup with the interaction that we have. And the Brood Scout, we also have the Charmaws are extra good against them. Belcher is the really scary matchup, so being able to Cascade into it off of Agent, in addition to off of Bloodbraid Elf or Birthing Ritual into it, I think makes it better over Clarion Conqueror. I did think about it. Okay, so they do have a turn 1 Mind Stone. Okay, because we have the Binding to deal with a Karn plus Force for like a Karn target, don't think that we need to just like pitch cast Stone random here. Also, like the problem with Force of Vigoring the Mind Stone is they do get to draw a card. Yeah, I know everybody's so horny for Inevitable Betrayal, but I really don't think that card makes that much sense. Okay, we need another land anyways. I'm gonna go ahead and surveil. We'll try to find a green source here. You play Warhammer Online Return of Reckoning? I don't. I'm not familiar. I was gonna play some card game from Game Workshops that they made, and I was gonna go to Florida to play it, and then Hurricane Harvey stopped my really fun weekend from happening. All right, 2 on top, 1 on bottom. Seems like things are not shaping up well for us this game. Let's go to game 3. On the play. I think I want 1 less Force, actually. Just this being blue just seems so relevant. Probably should just mulligan that 7. And I'm all to 6. Oof, not good. It's okay. You can bring it in. The thing is, it's like the Charmaws are so good that like Birthing Rituals are kind of like Charmaws. And so I'm a little bit scared about cascading into an Ouphe instead. The Ouphes are mostly for Belcher. Very similar to game 1. We're on the play this time, but they have the turn 2 seer instead of the turn 3 seer. The only Oath of the Gatewatch, Eldrazi still standing. Well, we gotta play the agent. You still see Smasher? I haven't seen Smasher in a long time. Ooh, 1 more blue card. It was better to take the Omnath. Not 100% sure. Resolves. Imagine dying to Emrakul right now. Could let them draw a card. No deal. Take 4. I think I'd let you draw a card. All right, feeling pretty safe. I'm gonna shuffle the other Charmaw back in. Mm. You're welcome, chat. My one regret is I didn't get to cast Commandeer. Keep this. Probably gonna go Triome into Ritual, though maybe blue-green Surveil is better. Okay, on the draw against a Mold to 6. I haven't won that many die rolls. More Boros, yay! Maybe it's something else. Wouldn't that be nice? So Triome's looking better, so that way on turn 3 we can go Ritual, Riddler, and Binding potentially. It's not Boros. Yes! So Domain Zoo probably. I'm still here, just talking to variants. Okay, cool. I know we won't keep you very long, Tron Dragon, but I'll try to keep you as long as I can. I'll get the Triumph. So we don't draw a different white card. So I suppose it seems more important that I could Binding one of their bindings, right? Than to just like gain 4 life by killing the Scion this turn. Maybe it's an issue if they have Binding plus Stub, you know, that's a problemo. Although I guess we could play around that if we draw a white card. They do keep a card on top. They smack me all the way down from 17 to 13, and then they pass the turn. If I get a basic Plains off this Heath, I can't cast an Agent. A little bit weird. See if this trigger goes on the stack. It does go on the stack. Did you mean to replicate this? Okay. Going down to 10 is fine. I've decided. The 4 cards in their hand, they play an untapped Temple Garden, a Territorial Kavu. I've run the numbers going to 8. Fine, also. Although, I guess, is it better to go bind? No, I think I'm going to keep it the Solitude to gain some life. Also, again, just having the 4 power Elf is so valuable. Or 4 mana value Elf is so valuable. I think you should be on Zatorus Triumph since I'm on Hedge Maze. Zagoth is basically second Hedge Maze. Well, it's kind of the same thing with Sacred Foundry and the Elegant Parlor, right? It's just the same. What I walk into, this is a Beanstalk with 1/1 a Birthing Ritual. Yeah, that's what you walked into, more or less. Definitely more than less. We go up to the Steam vents here, over the Triome. Let's shrink this down to 3/3. So we'll go ahead and finish it off with a Solitude. It is really fun that this build somehow gets to make just really cool use of the Cascade creatures this time by turning them into other value stuff. Like that's the Cascade creatures were kind of dopey under the Bean regime. No more. Do you want the Charmaws are kind of interesting in this matchup. I think we probably do want to move away from them into the double endurance game plan again. Yeah, I almost tried to fit Glassful Mimic into the mana base too. Again, I also think it's just a little unnecessary. Alright, I've been cutting an elf when I bring in the endurances. Let's keep with that. Yeah, I don't really understand the Felia. I guess they have Consign. They're like comboing it with Consign. Do you think Ketramos and the Rack would fit together? Well, we've played a couple Ketramos Urza Saga shells because Urza Saga gets Relic. And if you're playing like a discard-focused Ketramos deck, you can play one copy of the rack as an Urza Saga target, and that's probably better than doing it like more copies of the rack. But you could play more. You could have maybe you could fit Mox Opal as like with rack as an Opal enabler. All right, on the draw. Not a lot of pitch castables. I think we should mulligan the one-lander, though. The Subtlety was second land we'd keep, I guess. So let's keep this, and then... I think we're going to go red-green Surveil into Breeding Pool. Or red-white Surveil into Breeding Pool. My opponent has kept 7, and in their 7-card hand, they have a Leyline of the Guild Pact. Surprised no Veil is summoned to the sideboard for Spell Snare. I can't tell what's a joke and what's not anymore. Walkthrough was nice. Thanks for asking. Feeling good about the wedding. We're both kind of just ready to get it over with though, at this point. Okay, we may be getting scammed here. The Exile Plains. Our first hand might have been a solution to victory here with the Force of Vigor. So because I didn't get Triome, I can't set up to go Ritual this turn into Riddler Binding next turn. It's a little unfortunate. Favor for wedding courthouse get over with. Well, we're here already. It's nice. It's nice that we have the privilege to do this. They find a Force of Vigor, which is annoying because I would have been nice to draw. Then also they could just kill my Leyline Binding this turn. Well, let's hope for the best. Otherwise, going to game 3. They keep a card on top, which bodes poorly. They flip a Quantum Riddler, which is also kind of bad because I was hoping to like keep a Riddler in play to block the Scion next turn. Wear Tear plus anything was basically too much. Yeah, let's just go to game 3. Tough game. Gets you on the play for game 3. On the play against Zoo is always such a different experience. Would have been interesting to keep that 7-card one-line hand that just had Force and Solitude. Yeah, I would have been happy to answer your question, Articuno. Other people have like jokingly suggested like cards in the deck that you could cascade into, so I probably should have been able to identify serious versus joke, but that's okay. Magic is a complicated game. I don't ever mind dumb questions. Just I do mind suggesting dopey value cards all stream. Alright, they've got another Leyline. No turn 1 Ragavan this time. Did you keep the card on top? Hand's kind of slow if they have the Scion. They're fetching, it might be Kavu. Ooh. That one's good. Not so good against all of my draws. Like I've got Force of Vigor in my deck and Binding, and I can just do my normal stuff one spell at a time. But obviously good against my draw that's really in on this Bloodbraid Elf. Okay, that's a good pickup. Punished for getting Hedge Maze over Elegant Parlor because now I can't get a second Surveil off. I got a Hedge Maze because I was thinking I might want to hardcast Endurance this next turn. So we don't need to worry about them having stub because they have High Noon in play. Fetching Order of Operations in this deck feels like a nightmare. It's actually worse than a nightmare. Unfortunately, I just have to think a little bit about it. Which it's tough. I wish I had better news. Hoping to hit an agent here. They binding my binding in response to keep the High Noon in play. That's pretty gross. Good play. Maybe we Birthing Ritual and an Endurance on their turn next turn. We'll see what happens. So I guess looking a bit more like we want to like hardcast Solitude and then set up for Birthing Ritual plus Endurance next turn. They discard a second copy of Flage, so they're gonna have 3. Yeah, it looks like they're just not. I guess if they go Fetch Travail. No, they can't Fetch Travail twice because they don't have enough untapped mana. I do need to get another green source here. I guess that's gonna be Temple Garden. They've shown us consigns. We definitely want to main phase this. 3 cards in their hand here. Could have another Leyline pretty often. They play another Wooded Foothills. Cost for a spell. Could be third Flage. I remember Gigantha. Quantum Riddler Zoo! I didn't think the technology was there. Okay, we drew a Force of Vigor, which is a really interesting pickup. Booty Flute with the 49. Hope that you're doing well today. A little bit scared of a stub. Be a Force of Vigor into Endurance. I'm trying to. They might sack High Noon to deal me 5. But then we can chump block with the Endurance. Or I guess, no, sorry, we, instead of that, we just Leyline the Riddler. Which is I was gonna do that always. I don't know the 5 damage from the High Noon surprised me. I forgot about it for a second. So they got 4 cards in their hand. They play a tapped Lush Portico. We get rid of the Flages. We're gonna untap with double Ritual and a new card, 8 life points, and certainly the best possible card we could have drawn. Only fair since they just drew 1 also. There's a new Riddler. Draw me 2 more. White card's great. And let's just go ahead and upgrade the Endurance into a Subtlety, which will let me turn that into a 5. So they're untapping to 4 cards in their hand here, feeling pretty safe. They just concede, nice. So 2-0 again. We have mulliganing this. We just have like no way to like trigger the ritual unless we get lucky on our draws. This hand's gonna be way better. Kind of close between putting back. I guess I just put back the Riddler since I'm gonna cast Second Agent next turn. I want to draw white cards to interact. Yeah, do mix meta videos. Okay, they suspend the Lotus Bloom, so we maybe get to test our They suspend 2 Lotus Blooms. So game 1 is just gonna be a nightmare against double bloom because our Charmaw plan is gonna be so impractical. We get to test our Collector Ouphe plan. What's my opinion on Blue Belcher? I think it's good. It's not really like so different, but it's like it's it's a combo deck that's typically like pretty solid against Boros and very good against other combo decks, and then gets hated out a bit easier than stuff like Goryo's because Goryo's has so many Plan Bs. Okay, so maybe I get to Leyline Binding a Lotus Bloom to not die in 2 turns. This place Ginger's a bit of an anxious guy, makes some timid asking questions. He'll be playing Peak today with fellow modern gamer Canister. What's to know? Like to join? Do you mean they're playing the early access event? Because I mean, as much as I wouldn't mind playing the early access event, I'm 3 hours into this stream. I have no Spider-Man decks built. It's at the moment it's like just like keeping up with the normal stream has been so tough that usually I just need to take the weekend before set release and as like my dedicated new set deck building. So I'm not super interested in jumping into early access with no decks built, but I would if I had been asked earlier maybe. Just gotta plan the streams out a bit more, All right, I don't think that just trying to YOLO binding on a Bloom here is good. I think holding a Solitude for Tamashi is okay instead. Peak is a video game. Oh, what is the game? The goofy co-op climbing game? Okay. I'll still decline. But if I had more heads up, maybe I would have been able to make some time. All right, they got 3 cards in their hand who can beat a Tamashi, not a Belcher. There's a Belcher. I gotta finish Hollow Knight too. We're dead. We're at negative 33. Kind of a low life total to come back from. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. So I did identify this matchup as particularly bad. My plan is to try to Collector Ouphe them. And then so you can not only can you Cascade into this, it's also when you can dig 4 off of your rituals sometimes. Then there's a little bit of I think the Commandeers are like fine to bring in. They're not particularly great interaction, but they are interaction. And so I think I'm just going to be cutting. Although the thing is, if I cut the subtleties, my blue card count is kind of embarrassingly low at 14 for a double pitch card. So maybe this part of the sideboard plan just needs some work. Maybe we just play Force of Vigors instead of the Commandeers. I like being able to if you upkeep Force the Blooms, it makes your Charmaw plan better too. All right, let's try this. Alright, gotta keep double Cascader on the play when we boarded in the Ouphs. And then just in general. Orvar's at the side for the Grixis Archon Reanimator deck that's been popping around. I really enjoy your Cauldron deck. I have a good suggestion. I think a copy of the card Wish would be very versatile, getting you Flood Maw, Grape Shot, and a copy of Savor the Moment for you need to attack next turn. Maybe. I at the very least, like... it's possible. Like... It is just another one of these like value cards that wins you the game after you've already attacked. Of course, it's important to have that effect somewhere in the 75. Oh no, sorry, I realized it's just a second too late. Getting this means I can't cast the agent turn 3 unless I draw another blue or green source. So I guess we'll try to surveillance one. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's one issue. And then the other thing is just like, I've been saying this, I just think Temporal Trespass is better when you're not popping off. It is cool that Wish is a card that lets you sometimes pop off. This is Spin to Bloom now. Wish is a card that lets you sometimes pop off through a piece through a lock piece. So, I mean, that's nice, right? Stupid basic planes. My one weakness, thinking about it a little bit. But I also in the Cauldron deck, I think like you could play Wish over the Trespass, but I think the second Trespass got pretty cleanly replaced by Gristlebrand. You usually have enough mana in the Cauldron deck to just Whisper Trespass in the sideboard. Sometimes, again, I think people just continue to like miss the point too, where it's like Trespass wins, Wish wins, but the really cool thing is that, think for a second. Let's get Breeding Pool. No, Steam Vents look at Hardcast Charmaw over. I don't think we're at Hardcast Force. Maybe Solitude the Archaeologist to stop Flare. I did see the Omniscience Brew top 8 of the challenge. I'm very excited about that. But the thing is, Temporal Trespass, it's just a card that lets you win with your beatdown game plan in situations that like every other card anyone ever brings up, and it also wins in the same spots. So we'll need to have this conversation too many more times, probably a few more times in our career. So if they go Whir for Bloom in a turn, we can upkeep Force both Blooms. But Xander Lounge, Temple Garden as lands for Domain. That could be better. You're talking about cards that when their Wish is just classic for a Storm deck and gets you out of stacks and also swings the game. Yeah, I understand. I understand, but getting out of stacks is nice. Trespass winning with the beatdown plan is also nice. It's not the biggest deal. They're both like functionally pretty much the same. Although the problem with Wish is you do have to dedicate sideboard slots to it that you otherwise wouldn't, which is for me probably just enough of a reason to not play it. Like your way to get out of stacks is you're just you're playing Fear of Missing Out, and you're playing Marauding Mako, and you're playing Dragon Regis Channeler, and you just attack your opponent until they're dead. I think is a pretty good plan. Okay, so we don't hit Ouphe or Charmaw. Close. We do a double Force Up, though. So... No, I still lose to Whir, right? No. If I force now, then they Whir. I can force the Belcher before this Bloom resolves. So I think I should just force this now. If they have second Whir, I just force the Belcher. And if this just resolves, then we force the second Bloom so that they can't just Belcher activate. And then if they Tamashii, we'll probably lose. But no one's ever beaten. Although, it's maybe a little bit unlucky that they had Orderly Plaza. We would be beating them just having all blue lands here. Now they sack the blue. They didn't sack the first one. Then they bounce the Omnath, so I don't quite have lethal in play. 4 cards in their hand. Maybe they're just going to play a Belcher. They play a Tamashii, so do they have the win? Force didn't beat Whir there. They just crack for mana. I know it's confusing. So they have 7 mana. If I force the first one, and they float mana, then the second one comes down. Oh yeah, right. The second one comes down. Duh. You're right. You're right. They just float mana, then let the other one come down. Then we're indeed confusing confirmed. Does seem like a tough matchup. We try to come prepared with the Ouphes. Keep thinking about it. I do think maybe the Hellkites just are better than Commandeers. They'll give you a little bit of extra game here. Hopefully they're just playing Seagate, although Seagate is just a concession almost, right? We'll keep them honest. Maybe they board it in a basic if they do have the Belcher. They have 9, 12 mana, which is enough for another word to be lethal too. We'll see if they boarded it in a basic. All right. Keeping it going. Oh, definitely keeping this in the play. Is Belcher good for the format? I think Belcher is great for the format. It's just one of these decks that if you want to be great against it, you can fill your deck with Cleansing Wildfires and Field of Ruins and White Orchid Phantoms and Collector Ouphes and Stony Silences and Karn the Great Creators and it's just like I really enjoy playing games against it also. Sorry, I got monologuing a little bit here. Although I don't know if I'm subtleting this anyways. Probably not because I need the agent pretty bad. You know what I mean? You just get to build your deck in a way that you have a ton of great pieces against them. And like I really like I like when you have that dynamic and you've built your deck where you have like nothing but great pieces against them, and it feels really good. Like your sideboard cards are really effective against them compared to like when decks like Boros or like say Gorios. It's like your sideboard cards can only be so good in these matchups because they have so much value. I think Affinity is like this too. The more all-in Reanimator decks can be like this too. Tron is like this, which is popular and good. So hope not to get Blood Mooned. I'll turn 2 on the play game 1. Okay, not too worried about that. A little bit worried about having to fetch Shock here. I think I guess we don't, because we need a red source anyways. I'm gonna Shock. Oh, I can't get Stomping Ground. Maybe I won't then. So don't expect my opponent to sack their guide and their Ragavan to kill my agent. If they do, we can't be too upset about that. They're thinking about it. Or maybe just looking at the cards I cascaded over. I did flip over 2 Omnaths, which is really bad because I'm not very likely to hit one. Well, I still have Subtleties and Bloodbraid Elf, so I can go like hit a 4 and then still go into a 5 this turn. Personally, not a fan of combo decks that can't beat fairly, and the only answer is to shut them down with sideboard cards. Well, you can beat Belcher fairly. You can race them. The deck is slow, and you can combo off yourself because the deck is slow, and you can play discards counter spells against them. So and then also you can crush them into dust if you want. Like Belcher is more resilient because it plays its own counter magic, and there are some draws that like they have nut draws that you can't beat, which is true of every modern deck also. Yeah, but I certainly wouldn't lump Belcher as this deck that just you can't beat unfairly. Okay, they do go for the double bombardment sack. Cool. Have I tried Arena Cube? No, I haven't been on Arena for a while, honestly. All right, 4 cards in their hand. Presumably they've got some action if they're sacking there. Let's not Subtlety the Flage and just let them deal me 4. Seems so bad if we don't hit a red fetch land. Yeah, I mean, my life total is kind of dangerous. I think it was kind of interesting whether or not to fetch red there or not. Like we could also draw Riddler or Agent and just get rewarded. Certainly, like I did not feel very comfortable in this decision point, but we did get rewarded. All right, so probably just want to Charmaw them. Okay, then nothing else. So your turn. I have nothing? You can beat nothing. I wonder how many of our Boros opponents are just like grinding for the PT. We go for Omnath over a Riddler here, kind of. It doesn't matter too much, I guess. We'll turn this into a Riddler, though. I wonder if Wisp is too cute. Yeah, I don't like that it needs something to be in play. You know what I mean? All right, we can't charm all the Marshalots because they'll just sack it, so we'll just chill. Probably have a crazy turn next turn. Got Subtlety up for their Escape Flage if that's what they're on. Pretty high chance that if they go like Arena of Glory Flage, we Subtlety their Flage, and then we double Charmaw both of their Arena and their Elegant Parlor. Yeah, I don't like that. Like I don't like the things where you have to like sacrifice. You have to sacrifice the thing, and then there has to be something else for it to be in play. This is also the problem with the Panharmonicon warp creature. I didn't want to get Charmawed. So I think I'm just going to commit to boarding in one Force of Vigor against Boros unless I see Blood Moon, then I'll bring in 2 or 3. I think more or less the sideboard plan. Still figuring out some of the numbers. Norn is good. I don't think Elesh Norn is good against them. I think that it is a slow 5-drop on the draw that dies to Galvanic Discharge. I could buy maybe it's passable. Kind of interested in just getting forest planes here. Most of them are moons now because transferring around. Yeah, we've only been mooned by one of them today. White card would be nice. Look at this, so I can go Forest Island if they Blood Moon me. 7 toughness. Yeah, it's not by turn 5. It's not that unrealistic for them to have the energy to Thraben Charm, enough creatures to Thraben Charm, or enough energy to discharge Norn. And then like what does it stop? It stops Guide of Souls triggers, stops a Johnny ETB, but a Johnny's ETB'd already. They can Arena of Glory Flage and keep it in play. They flip Rough Tumble here. I don't know. It's like it's we're on the draw also, and I'm just not that into bringing in the 5-drop on the draw. I don't think it needs to be that complicated. Yeah, it does stop Static Prison, but they like barely play Static Prison anymore. I can't even remember the last time I saw Static Prison. It might get run over here on the draw. It is also kind of nice that, like, even if we lose this game, we've shown our opponent that we are going to fetch around Blood Moon. So they might board out some Blood Moons for game 3. Although I guess I don't know if that's good or bad for me. Yeah, it's just like all of the cards Elesh Norn stops are like 1 to 3 mana, and it's like I just don't love having a 5-drop on the draw for that. Elesh Norn filled by ritual, dumping our triggers could be just main. Yeah, you could main deck an Elesh Norn. Although I don't know that that's better than a Panharmonicon. They hit an Omnath, which they shouldn't be able to cast. I think if Blink gets really popular, you could main deck it, but the Blink matchup just seems to be pretty solid as is. We got 3 cards because we're hoping for Blood Moon. Johnny. We should be dead if they can flip this, right? Or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we go to 1, which is dead. My decision to fetch around Blood Moon. Not that it would even be that good on the sport anymore. Okay, we didn't draw a white card, so we're probably cooked. Not that I'm bored. Dead do a discharge, dead do a Thraben Charm. Seems like they have it if they're pausing this long. Alright, game 3. On the play for game 3, I don't think our sideboard changes on the play, not when we didn't see Blood Moon, and we also showed them that we're fetching around it. Okay, on the play. Let's keep this. A little bit of a weird hand. Could go Elegant Parlor into Forest Island. Yeah, I'm also a little bummed that we can't play Ephemerate, but what's nice about this deck is that all of the Cascaders of the rituals are blink effects, so we're sufficiently blinked up. I haven't been cubing much lately. Still open to it. Come on, play another 1-drop. Yeah, I guess we'll take 2. For 1. Yeah, it's like we have 12 Ephemerates that rebound every turn. A good way to put it. Do you have any issues with only having 12 cards to Solitude pitch? I mean, it's a little bit tough, but you also just draw a lot of cards, which compensates sometimes. So Goblin Bombardment go. I think let's just go ahead and make it to where Blood Moon doesn't seem to matter. That seems valuable to me. Ding ding ding. Yeah, the thing is, like, Twinning Twins, we just don't need blink effects in the deck. The whole deck is already blink effects, basically. I did think about it. Okay, unfortunately we hit Endurance. I don't want to shuffle all these lands in, so we'll just target there. The downside of bringing in the Endurances. But the upside is that you get to chain them and then have infinite value over the course of these games. Which is relevant when they just gain. When it's relevant when they play 3 3-drops, 3 1-drops, and they have 60 life and 60 power. They do Graveyard of Flage, but we have reduced the number of cards in their graveyard by a lot at least. Solitude at the ready. Yeah, I think Twinning Twins is better than the Channel O-Ring, but I think neither are correct to play. They've got 4 cards left in their hand. 2 cards in the graveyard for the Flage, and then the Flooded Strand can put 2 more in. And then there's 1 off the discharge, so they have enough to escape the Flage next turn. Let's play the Omnath instead of just trying to cantrip off the, or double draw 2 off the Riddler. Gain 4. So next turn should be pretty good. It's nice that we don't get got by like top deck Blood Moons. If they have Arena of Glory, they can kill. Oh, okay, no third surveil land. So they actually cannot Arena of Glory me, and they need a fetch land or land 1-drop, I guess, to kill the Omnath or to escape the Flage at all. I played the third surveil land and board. They were doing it for a little bit, and like every time, it just seemed to be good every time I played against them. I don't know what happened. I shouldn't complain too much because I don't want to see that much more Boros, but I just think the third surveil land is so correct. Okay, so we want to go Agent first. So we can draw 2 off the Riddler, and maybe we can find a fetch land for the Omnath. Do we want to attack with Omnath? I guess is a question. I guess we'll find the answer to that question after we warp the Riddler. We find a fetch land, we can cast this Riddler from warp. But I guess that's worse than just casting another Birthing Ritual, probably. I talked to Ginger into doing a third surveillance Boros for the last 2 days. He gave up playing for today. That's fair, I guess. I mean, maybe there's something I just don't see, not grinding it like Ginger does, but I just think it's generally correct. Okay, let's get some ritual triggers on the stack. Shall we? Let's go ahead and turn the agent into a subtlety, which can be turned into a 5. Okay, so I hit Endurance. And I know this is a little bit weird to not Endurance my opponent's Flage, but I just actually think it's better to just shuffle the action back in the deck and maintain the Endurance loop. I don't think we're really scared of Flage here, even if they have Arena of Glory. I don't think it's that bad. Not that good either. but it's not that bad. And just making sure that we have the infinite action is just, I think you got to maintain that. And also, if they don't have Arena of Glory, Flage seems to really not matter very much. Okay, well, I cannot beat that card. Now I wish I had Endurance them. I think I can't beat it. Maybe if we just put all Riddlers into play here, we have enough. They do get to double their... They do get to double their, play GTB. I mean, I don't think we're doing better than 3 Riddlers this turn. Because they draw a lot of cards on our upkeep. They escape the Flage, they get to double trigger, kill a Riddler, go to 16. If I had the Charmaws in the deck, we'd feel a bit better too. 0 Elesh Norn is wild to me. I mean, I haven't seen an Elesh Norn cast against me in a very long time. Maybe it's possible that I need to have more cards, but I'm not ready for it because I haven't been seeing it. Thank you for your feedback. We could board Elesh and answer to Elesh Norn. Okay, so we get to draw 3 cards. Not too many good cards in the deck, though. Invoke the Solitude. Okay, nice. Looking for some flyers. I think we might as well upgrade the power and toughness on this. Well, maybe putting into a 4 as a 4 off the elf was better. Okay, there's our 4th Riddler. 4th and final. I don't know. They're drawing. We have a flash 3/2 lifelinker. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I needed to do this on my turn. I think we're. How is their hand Flage and Johnny though? I think they just have lethal. This is 6. Wait, they targeted them. Oh wait, no, sorry. All right, we're done. You forgot about Path? Well, Path is really bad because of the Cascade stuff, right? Although I also said the words Path to Exile in this conversation, but it's okay. No one listens to me. Oh, I hope this is Necro and can commandeer Necro. This could just be Brood Scale too. That's true. The Charmaws can try to keep them off of the 5 mana. Maybe this is Ouphe all spells. Honestly, like the Charmaws have been good against Boros, and then we keep cutting them post board and losing more post board than we do main game 1. Okay, they soul spike my Shardless Agent, so I have nothing to sack. They pitch Fel to Profane and Fatal Push, and then they suspend a Profane Tutor. And they play an untapped Academ's Awakening, and they pass the turn. I draw my 3rd Birthing Ritual, and I Shardless Agent into my 4th. Okay, and then they Soul Spike again. which is fine. That is a 4-for-1 if you're not doing the math there. Okay, then they Thoughtseize my Charmaw, which was going to be able to keep them off of their 4th mana. So we do need to surveil into a creature, but this will be very funny if we just don't hit a creature here and then they just get to Necro me and I don't hit a creature again next turn. So that's not a creature. This is a creature. So good news, we're gonna hit a Shardless Agent, or sorry, we're gonna hit a Shardless Agent. Bad news is there's not any other creatures in the deck, or sorry, any other spells in the deck for Agent to hit. All the rituals are gone. So we flip our whole deck and then it shuffles, so we don't need to worry about shuffling things back in with the fetch land here. We hit them for 3 down to 20. We destroy one of their 3 lands, so when they tutor the Necro, they're going to need to draw an untapped land here. They might be Necro Belcher. I think they're Necro Belcher, actually. This was an old brew that we were working on. Force good against both those, you know. But you can expect them to have Lotus Bloom, all MDFCs, and maybe Karn. So if they have Karn, Subtlety is probably a bit better than Solitude. I think we're still going down a copy. Thoughts on Necro post Soulstone with Mox Opal? I mean that there's maybe the start of an idea there. I think there's like a little bit of weirdness where I mean Binding is really good against them. Build small again. Okay, keep this on the draw on 6. There's a little bit of weirdness with that, where if like your Soulstone isn't so good in your Necro deck because your Necro's exiling all of your good stuff from your graveyard. Harvest of Mystery might be better than Rough Tumble spot for Boros. I mean, we only have 1 black source in the deck, and that's not very many for how often black source like black cards are being suggested. I think maybe a Murderous Cut is fine against Boros, but or Elesh Norn in general. That's how we used to do it, but just turn 2 black cards seem pretty tough. Although, you know, it is maybe the best thing to Birthing Ritual into for the sweeper. And you know, okay, you could add more black lands, I guess. Okay, I guess we're getting Voidwalker beat down, and I boarded out my Solitudes as they predicted I would, I guess. So let's red, white, surveil, and binding. Yeah, they suspended the Lotus Bloom, so good news, I'm right there, Belcher. Bad news, I kind of have to force this, don't I? This was a really cool. Oh no! Then I give them the force. Maybe they'll play Necro. It's an unkicked Turok. Wait, they already can. Dang it! Sorry, I don't know how I missed that too. They took this force. I don't think I'm supposed to bring in Ouphe. Maybe I am. I guess I am. We're getting really wrecked by this sideboard plan. It'll be kind of interesting to see if they. I guess this Voidwalker could also cast a Force of Vigor. Very, very wrecked by the sideboard plan. Also, bringing in Solitudes when they have the Turok is going to be kind of tough too. Two X2s in a row. You're playing Challenge. I mean, I'm probably playing the Teamer Woodlands deck, which someone else already top rated a challenge with. I've been liking this deck. Alright, so they're not playing Karns. I can't remember if I was playing Karn or not. Let's bring in the Ouphes. Let's have some Solitudes in the deck. Let's just get the Subtleties out of there since they're not playing Karn. Yeah, I think the Commandeers are leaving the build, unfortunately. You should update with Viva Cauldron. I could take a look, yeah. Alright, well, keeping this. Ouphe is just kind of bad for Soul Spike's pushes. Yeah, but I mean, they're just like a Lotus Bloom Belcher deck. Probably just should have some Ouphes in our deck too. Need to make it so complicated. Blade Stream is really hard to cast, and I also don't really like that you can't cast it off of Cauldron mana. Cutting Street Wraith is kind of deranged, I think. Street Wraith has like been unbelievably good. Yeah, I don't know. Just not into it. I think Riddler. I mean, as much as I like Riddler, I think this is like the worst Riddler deck here. Like, it's just not necessary to churn through the deck. It's a fine value card, but I think Street Wraith has just been too insane to cut. Cutting the 4th Mako's nuts. I don't like the Phlages. They take a binding here. Let's not play the Riddler so that if we force Necro this turn, then our Riddler draws 2. And then we also get an extra look at another Birthing Ritual, or I guess Ouphe, but more so Riddler for this. Draw 2. Do we find a ritual? No, not a lot of anything. 4 cards in their hand. Maybe just gonna slam a Belcher. A Shielded. Okay, so we got our Solitude, so we don't need to be too worried about this. Yeah, let's pitch cast and then cast a Riddler, draw 2. Took VV Cauldron, Emery, Tomio, Bard class, and put counters, dig through deck. What is, wait, Bard class? Doesn't Bard class reduce stuff by like red green? Surely you mean a different card, right? That's a really good pickup. You probably mean artist talent. Weird game. Makes all your legends enter with counters for Cauldron. Oh, okay. Seems weird, but I understand at least. Yeah, this is a Black Belcher, Necro Belcher, an old brew of ours. So they Soul Spike the Charmaw, main phase. We get to keep playing. Oh, no we don't, because we have lethal with 2 Bloodbraid Elves? No, this puts this 2, the second elf would put them to 1. So let's not take a lot of damage from our lands just to put them to 1. Maybe not the most exciting, but they're at 4, so we don't need to fear Necro. We've got Collector Ouphe in play. Don't really need to fear anything. Nice. Okay, so not the craziest record, but I do think the deck looks pretty good overall. A lot of different directions you could take it to. This shell exists for you. I think this deck has a lot of hours we could put into it. I don't know if we're not going to have the time to put the hours into it right now because Spider-Man's coming out soon, next Tuesday. So maybe we'll play this in a challenge on Monday. Maybe I take Monday off. We'll see. But tomorrow we're going to be playing the Temur Woodlands deck in a challenge. And I'm very excited for this. Someone else beat us. We haven't had the time to play this one yet, but someone else already played it and top 8'd, which is very promising. I'm very excited for that. Just the same 75 as this. The Wizards build at least. Wait, is this the? Yeah, this is the Wizards build. And then we'll probably be playing this as our backup deck tomorrow, and also tomorrow morning. I've been working on this. This is it creativity that's trying to win just by creativity into level or oracle? I've been liking it. Just like you play like Brain Surge, Consult, Counterspell. I think it's like a little bit better than the twin deck we've been playing, and we had success with the twin deck, if that makes sense. Yeah, we'll be playing Jackals next week for sure. Yeah, GG's Flame. Literally just copied off your mock. So yeah, that was definitely a fun build.